Hey, welcome back to the pod. This is the AiCyber.Land podcast, where artificial intelligence meets cybersecurity. They collide, kind of like a train wreck, if you've ever seen that before. And then we just come in here and we make sense of all that carnage, all the wreckage. We get you, your weekly dose, or I guess twice a week dose of that now. So I'm Bryce. I got the world's greatest co-host, Shelby.
Hi.
And we're your eyes and ears for all things AI and cybersecurity, the breaches, the breakthroughs, and everything in between. All right, Shelby, have you seen anything cool over the weekend?
Yeah, so I want to talk about the CTFs and AI and how they're playing together and what that looks like, and kind of break that down. So I took these ideas from a blog post from a guy at Include Security. His name is Lawrence Tennant, and he attended the BSides SF CTF, and I guess he does this regularly with his team, so he was able to compare kind of what it looked like last year versus this time. So the San Francisco CTF gets a little bit of attention because there's a cash prize, and based on what Lawrence Tennant noticed last year, just kind of looking around the room, seeing people, talking to people, he determined about half of the contestants last year were using ChatGPT to do some challenges while they worked on some more intense ones manually. Whereas this year, the game is just completely changed. So first, I want to kind of back up and talk about the scoring a little bit. So BSides SF does use dynamic scoring, which means that if you solve a challenge that has fewer solves, then you get more points, because obviously that challenge was harder, that fewer people were able to get it. So last year, so those will be worth more points. Easy challenges worth fewer points. Most points wins. And last year, there was only one team that came close to solving all of the challenges, and they were the winning team. They did not solve all of them, but they got close. And this year, by comparison, there were 16 teams who solved every single challenge.
Wow.
So you could be not even in the top 10 and have completed every challenge.
Every challenge? Really? Yeah. That's impressive. Usually I feel like there's at least one or two that are unsolvable. Like the maker of the challenge was like, oh yeah, I screwed up. I guess that's not solvable.
I put too many layers in that. But yeah, and then they also said this year's SF challenge, there wasn't a single challenge that had fewer than 25 solves either.
Wow.
So they were busy.
Yeah.
And they said, I don't think the challenges were any easier this year. That's not what changed. It was really the LLMs. So the writer estimates, last year he competed as a solo participant in the CTF, and he got 5th place. This year he thinks that if he had not used LLM, just using his skills as a pentester and an experienced CTF person, he thinks he would have come around about 75th place. This by comparison. So let's talk about what this looks like. He knew that he would need an LLM this year in order to do the challenges. So he set up a Debian VM and he stuffed it full of all sorts of your CTF kind of utilities, right? And he ran Claude Code with the Max 5X plan, which is the $100 a month plan, which he said there was a weekly cap on it that just barely was enough to cover this whole CTF for him. He definitely, because this was a VM, he did set that -- dangerously skip permissions flag so that he could get more stuff done without kind of clicking through. And he also used Opus 4.6 on max effort also. So with this setup, how did he do? He was not in the top 10, sad to say. Even after all that.
Really?
Yeah. So let's talk about the approach that the winners and kind of those top 10 group used in their setup. So basically, we've entered an age where we've got fully automated CTFs. He called them vibe solvers, which I thought was cool because you've got vibe coding, but vibe solvers, right, is kind of the new I like that phrase. Because I feel like a lot of the coding is being done by the AI.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So what they did is, first off, they used multiple models in parallel to solve the same challenges, right?
Really?
Because speed matters. Because if you're the first person when there's a tie, right, you have to be the first person to solve the challenge in order to get the benefit of bonus points in that tiebreaker situation. So speed matters, which means that the people who are running multiple agents and multiple models in parallel were going to get there first. And so it's kind of it's cool, but also a little bit obnoxious because CTFs used to be about learning, which, you know, something is still being learned, but not, it doesn't really compare, right?
Learn how to use
skill.
as many tokens as possible, Shelby, before your competitor does. That's what you're learning.
Exactly. Now it's like kind of who throws the most money at it and building the autonomous system before the challenge starts.
It's like a token maxing system, you know? Like, have you heard about those people that do look maxing? They just want to look the best possible. We want people that could just spend the most amount of tokens as fast as possible.
Basically, right? So yeah, the people who threw the most money at it, and not to say that they didn't have the skills, but that was a common denominator there, because solve speed mattered. So let's talk about and they actually, I believe the winning team did open source their setup, just to be like,
cool.
there you go. Which is kind of cool. So here's what it did. Their pipelines continuously monitor the CTF platform for new challenges, which is great. So you don't have to wait for them to announce it somewhere. You just, as soon as it's there, you start solving it. No human needed. They also spin up multiple agents to solve each challenge immediately as it's released. So they've got many agents running at a time. And then auto submit the flag as soon as it appears in agent output. We don't need a person to check it, just submit it and see if it works, right? So what they found was GPT 5.4 mini.
Okay.
Was really great for kind of weeding out and taking care of the easy challenges. It was great for speed. But Claude Opus 4.6 on the max setting for deep thinking, it was slow, but it had that deep reasoning to get through the harder challenges. So that's where they found some success as well. Another thing is that they observed was which challenges were hard for AI. And not surprisingly, it's also the same kind of challenges that tend to be kind of hard for people too, though not necessarily. Like cryptography, it's like easy, I got this, even though it would take a human a long time to solve those challenges, right?
Yeah.
But basically, the challenges AI struggled with most, I guess, were the ones that require a lot of guesswork. Like it's not a well-documented thing that they can kind of wash, rinse, and repeat and try. So there you have it. It brings up some interesting questions about what should CTFs look like in the future, because like I kind of alluded to earlier, it seems like the learning outcome looks different. Solving challenges with AI is a fantastic skill, and it's different than the skills we were traditionally, why like CTFs existed 10 years ago, right? Because originally the CTFs are like, okay, we want to give people a gamified way to start doing hands on the keyboard challenges, right? To get them to learn new things by just jumping in and doing it, right? From anywhere from beginner to advanced. So it's interesting because the system now rewards humans stepping out of that, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts there? What do you think CTFs will look like in the future? Do we just make them harder, or?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting problem, and also interesting to think about from different macro levels and also different like micro levels. So like when you're participating in a CTF event, as the participant, you know, you have a couple motivations. Like one might be the reward, like the cash prize. You know, another reward that's really common is just ego based, right? Like I won, right? So I'm the best, right? And then, there's the more like, I don't know what you call them, like holy purposes. Like, I'm just here because I want to learn and I want to get better and I want to be the best person I can be, which is like a much healthier way to approach them. And also, they were designed to like stretch you. So, like, if there's like an area of cybersecurity you historically haven't done much work in, you could start to get your feet wet in that. And if you already knew some of it, but you weren't like at an expert level, you would be able to like up level yourself, right? And I kind of wonder, like, is this just the tip of the iceberg? Like, is people learning effectively over at this point? Right? Like, I mean, there's things that we need to learn, but maybe they're fundamentally different. Maybe they're not like, how do I break crypto, right? Maybe it's more like, how do I get a machine to break crypto now, right? So,
Yeah. What you're describing is the same like thought process I went through was like, oh, it's so sad because now people won't be like learning the basics, right? Because when I was going through school and my early career, it was, a lot of like, you have to learn the building blocks and the basics, and then we'll give you the frameworks that let you, build more faster and as you move up the stack, basically, right? And I'm wondering, like, if it's even useful to learn the basics anymore at this point, or is it kind of a waste of time because you can become an expert in it and still not be better than AI?
yeah, I mean, I think it depends on like what career strategy you're trying to implement as an individual, right? Like, I feel like there's, I don't know, 3 or 4 basic career strategies that work pretty well, right? So, like, one is you just try to get as deep as possible on a single topic. That way, like, whenever someone has an issue in that niche thing, like, you're the go-to person, and as long as that niche thing stays in demand, I mean, you can make a lot of money just in, I have some friends that they only work 6 months out of the year because they're like so good at a niche, and then they just do whatever they want for the rest of the year, right? Because they're like, well, I make enough money and I'm good, right? So, another approach, but the world doesn't need that many of those people, and the real risk there is the niche. The industry shifts, it evolves as we're seeing now, and then your niche is not useful anymore. So you go from making a ton of money to making, very, very little, right? I think another approach is to try to be like more of a generalist, right? Where you're like, okay, I'm just gonna be, good enough in a lot of different areas. And I think those people really excel well in large companies, right? Because typically you don't, like, it's not like the super technical stuff that needs to get solved, especially in cybersecurity at large companies. It's just getting people to get on board with almost like the basics, right? That's like the bulk of the work. Now, there are companies that always talk about like a T build where they're like, I want someone who's wide and deep, right? I don't believe really in that. Like, I feel like that's the same as saying like I want a unicorn or I want a full stack. Like, you can find someone who's like a generalist and he's deep in one specialty, but there's going to be a cost associated with any trade-offs. So, I mean, if you're deeper in one area, that means you spent more time on it, which means you probably have less experience in another area.
That totally reminds me of like being in the dating pool and they're like, I want someone who's this, and this.
Yeah. I mean, my friends tell me about the dating thing, and that's all. That seems crazy to me, right? I don't. Anyways, the whole. Maybe I'm just too old, apparently. But I just.
We want them super technical and good with working with people and knowing everything.
Yeah, and I think another way to do it is you start out technical and then you kind of move up the corporate ladder into management positions, or the kind of reverse where you like move out of the corporate world but you're still in like a leadership role, right? Like founding your own company or something like that. So all the maneuvers are hard, but there's high rewards if you can pull them off. So yeah, the CTF thing's really hard, right? Like, honestly, where I'm at with the CTF thing, and maybe this is just like me more in my like personal journey, is like it's too easy to solve these CTF challenges with an AI. So what we need to do is like fundamentally change the CTFs to have people solving problems that we as an industry actually need solved. Like, we don't really need any more O days, to be honest. There's plenty of O days out there, and AI is gonna seems pretty good at making O days, right? So, but we can't even get someone at a company to go update their server, right? So, I mean, or how many times do you do a pen test engagement and year after year you have the exact same findings? So there's a fundamental gap in people's willingness to like actually secure their systems, and this is kind of like been forming in my mind for a while, so I'm glad you brought it up. But it's just like, when you start rewarding people in the industry for solving actually hard problems, right? Which is, how do I build an AI agent that's gonna like get deployed to a box and autonomously patch it whenever a new CVE drops without breaking the application or services that are on the box? Like, that would be an amazing thing, you know? But how many people are working on that problem? I don't know any. Maybe there's some, small group inside some EDR vendor, and you'll never see the light of day until some startup does it and eats the whole industry. So, like, or like, I've seen some innovative stuff over the years. Like, I've seen some software that, does memory scanning on systems to find, signatures for Cobalt Strike and other stuff like that. But, like, I think we need to fundamentally shift, right? Like, offense is cool, but will it really stay cool if it's just like any noob can do it? Probably not. So maybe the new cool is solving another hard problem that's out there, which is, how do we actually make our systems autonomously secure? All right, rant over, Shelby. There you go. Bam.
Shift that much on me. I can't shift my CTFs and what's cool in security or not. That's too much.
Too much? Well,
pen testing was always like the cool one in my mind. It's like the sexy work of security.
do you enjoy spending all your time writing reports? Do you enjoy spending the rest of your time explaining to a client why this is a valid vulnerability? If so, you could be in a promising career at pen testing.
You're right. There are some less glamorous parts.
I feel like everyone's like, I want to be a pen tester. And they get in, they're like, so I do like 2% testing and 98% other stuff. I'm like, yes, this is the way this works. Because the client is paying the money, so we do whatever the client wants. And this is what the client wants.
So actually that leads me into my last point of this, kind of a conclusion from the CTFs thing. Because this blog post was written by Include Security, which is a security company that also does pen tests and those kind of engagements, they made a point to say, is there a difference between CTFs and pen testing fundamentally as it applies to AI? Can AI perform equally well? Do we still need pen testers, in other words, right? And they feel that yes, and they gave their reasons why. So they think that CTFs and AI go really well together because the goal structure matches, right? AI is very good when you give it a goal, just do this thing, which, find the flag, that's what it is. But when you have an actual engagement, it's much more open-ended of evaluating these large systems. So it's, and then the second thing is finding verification. I don't know, maybe you can attest to this, that finding a finding is step one, but there's actually a lot of work that's got to come after it. You have to verify it, and that takes a lot of work to make sure that your finding is actually significant, is reproducible, right? Is that been your observation?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of that. I think that the really tough part, in my opinion, is like where, and this is really common, especially the more junior that pen tester is, and I like to call them rabbit holes. But essentially, you think there's a vulnerability and you think it's going to pay off, so you just keep investing more and more time and energy into it. And then you're like, okay, it's been 2 weeks, I have no thing to show the client, right? Because you spent all your time going down this one rabbit hole where and then you have somebody else come look at the app and they're like, oh, there's a huge thing over here. You got your blinders on and you kept going down that path. And I kind of feel like LLMs are very susceptible to that as well, right? Where in a CTF, there's typically like a defined path to solve it. And there's like a defined, like, it knows when it gets the flag, if it submits the flag back into the portal, if it worked or not, right? But, in real life, you don't know. I mean, you could keep digging forever, and there may not be any way to actually get the vulnerability working, or maybe there's not even a vulnerability there. It just looks weird. I mean, I can't tell you how many systems I've seen where I'm like, why would the person set up the system like this? Why? Like, and you spend like half your time thinking about that, because it's just, and then, you go talk to the client at the end, and they're like, oh yeah, the intern set that up, and I don't know what he was doing. You're like, oh, okay. Well, maybe just take it off the internet.
You're like going off like the exact same reasons that they gave as reasons why CTFs are really great for AI, but like real world pen tests don't mesh as well. Like you're not going to be able to transfer that same success rate into the real world, and it's because of exactly what you said, the context, right? In CTFs, they're like, here's a file, or here's one URL or something, whereas your scope could be a lot bigger. It could be a large system in an actual pen test that doesn't have a defined solve path, right? The reporting and severity is their reason number 4, why we still need pen testers. And they said, like you were saying, the deliverable is a flag versus a report, and not just a report and I'm passionate about pen test reports and how they're written, but like it needs to explain to the client, who might have different backgrounds technically and security wise, it needs to help them connect the dots to understand why what we're telling you matters, why you should care about this finding, right? And that, I don't know, talented, fantastic pen testers do really well at this. I don't know how well AI is at that same skill. And then the last thing is scope and decision making. So the risk here is different. If you are, if your AI goes out of scope or breaks some rules in a CTF, you might get disqualified, you might not, but there's not a lot of penalty there. But if you go out of scope for an actual pen test, you're gonna have a bad day, right? It could have some disastrous, or if you go outside of like those rules of engagement, as well as it's just if it makes any faulty decisions there. So those are our thoughts on how we're not ready to get rid of pen testers yet, because I think we still do need their judgment and their context understanding and their skills. So that's my synopsis.
I think it could be a really good, I love your insights. I think it could be a really good way to be like a catch-all, right, at the end of an engagement to make sure you didn't miss anything. It might also be like a good way to kick off an engagement to try to find some leads quickly, but I think you got to watch for the rabbit hole issue there where you're kind of blinded. So I prefer the latter. And honestly, that kind of is in line with the way that I have done most pen test engagements, which is like at the very end, like the last day, I'll run Nessus and make sure I didn't miss anything. But I typically don't use automation up front, right? So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be different. I'm really looking forward to it. So I think these AIs are going to enable us to do awesome things, both on, finding the vulnerabilities as well as fixing them. So.
Well, sorry, I talked so long about mine. Did you have some news that you wanted to share with us that you saw in AI and security?
Yeah. Well, I just want to talk this. So this weekend, I was vibing. I don't know what you were calling it. Vibe solving Bryce problems. And historically, I've been using a lot of Claude Code, the CLI, and so I, has been testing out Opus 4.7 and Sonnet 4.6 quite a bit, right? And I just kind of realized that my workflow maybe wasn't as efficient as it could be, which, kind of drives me crazy. So I built out a couple capabilities and I pushed them to my GitHub. There's a GitHub repo called Z tickets. And essentially what I built was kind of like the way I implement it is kind of like a 3-stage system, right? So stage 1 is I have a Cloud Code CLI session open, and I built a skill for Cloud Code. Now, skills are like a universal standard, so theoretically, if you write a skill, you should be able to use it with any of the providers. So, like you should be able to use it with Cloud Code or OpenAI's Codex or any of the tools like Gemini's anti-gravity, any of those things that should work with. And typically, skills just come down to they've got a markdown file called skillmd, which kind of has like your prompt or your logic inside of it. And then there could be some supporting files with that. So I built a skill called new ticket, and I load up Cloud Code CLI in Opus mode, so like the smartest model I can get. And then I have it research the feature request or bug fix that I want it to do, but I don't actually have it implement the bug fix. I just have to do all the research and then document that into basically like a markdown file, right? And then in my second window, I have like a Python script running in a loop, and it opens up Cloud Code CLI sessions, which just have a prompt which point them to the markdown ticket files, so they can process one ticket at a time. And I built some logic into it so it can actually analyze the ticket and say like, okay, this is an architectural design ticket, let's use Opus to process this one. Or like, no, this is like really easy bug fix, let's just use Sonnet to do it. Because I was kind of hitting up against my thresholds, like my token limit thresholds, I'm already on like a super crazy expensive plan. So honestly, that helped a ton. Because the thing is, if it's me, I don't want to waste my time. And so like in my gut, I'll just like go to Opus 80% of the time, not because in the off chance it might be better, it's worth it to me not to have to mess around. But if a system could automatically figure out, like, hey, this is not a hard ticket, let's just use Sonnet. Sonnet's faster, Sonnet's cheaper. And honestly, I kind of think this is bogus, but they say most programmers use Sonnet over Opus. I feel like I feel like that's just propaganda from Dario to try to get more compute in his data centers. Because, like, I do not have that experience at all, and everybody I talk to just rolls with Opus all the time. So so that speeds it up and reduces tickets. And then my third one is like I just have like a constant deployment to a test server. So every time a ticket gets implemented, it pushes it to the test server. And then I, as the user, I browse the test server and I'm like, oh, okay, the web app, this thing's not functioning, let's create another ticket. And so really I, as a user, all I'm doing is like creating tickets, and the system is like autonomously implementing them and pushing them out to the server. So anyways, I released that code. Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying that's pretty slick. I like it.
Yeah, well, I just felt like it's a lot more efficient. It's a lot more token efficient. And the other thing is like, let's say I just got like an hour and then I got to leave. I used to spend that hour like telling Claude to do something and then checking to make sure it worked and then looping back around. Where now I'll just spend that entire hour creating feature requests, right? Tickets. And then I'll be like, all right, peace. Like I'm out. Like I'll go to sleep, and I'll wake up 6 hours later or whatever, and like it will have gone through 50 tickets, right? And
super cool. You do need more sleep though.
Apparently, according to Shelby, that's not the recommended amount of sleep. But it's like and I'm just surprised. Like, there's been a couple bugs, couple hiccups here or there, but generally speaking, it's like you go to sleep and you wake up and you have a ton of new features. Now, did it do everything perfectly? No, it did not. But, it's pretty easy to tell it to delete something. It's, but, I'd say like 80% of it is like what I kind of intended. So anyways, yeah, I pushed that up to the GitHub and I really liked it. One other benefit of that was because, I'd create like a lot of tickets and then just let it process them, is I got some time to mess around with Codex and GPT 5.5 this weekend. And so I could do more of a comparison of Opus 4.7 versus 5.5. And even though I have built that whole system around Claude Code, like I'm really liking Codex, GPT 5.5. It is doing a really good job. It's really fast. I would say I put it on like the medium thought level for probably like 90% of the ask, and it works just fine and faster implementations than my automated Z ticket system. So, I think this also highlights, the AI space in general, where it's like whatever worked yesterday is probably already obsolete. But yeah, I'm really liking Codex and GPT 5.5 a lot better than I thought it was going to. So it did a really good job with the tickets. So
I've been hearing some really good things about 5.5. Some people even called it Mythos-like in its performance because I guess it improved in some areas in security. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, so coming back to your CTF thing, one of the benchmarks I pay pretty close attention to is the CyberGem benchmark, because it's just a collection of CTF challenges, and it sees how many the AI models can solve. This has drastically gone up over the last year and a half. Like a year and a half ago, we were at like 10 to 20% on the models that they were able to solve. So right now, GPT 5.5 solves almost 82% of the problems, and Mythos solves 83% of the problems.
Wow, okay.
So from a cybersecurity standpoint, 5.5 is 1% away from Mythos. So I don't yeah, I don't know like what Mythos has that would make it better than that, but they're pretty much neck and neck right now with existing resources. So I have heard from some people the rumor is like Mythos does a better job of like chaining things together, but I feel like
maybe it's bridging that gap between CTF and real world.
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of these things though in the CTF you've got to chain things together to get it working. So I'm not sure how valid that claim is. Anyways, you see anything cool lately, Shelby?
Yes, it's actually very visual, very cool. Dentsu Lab in Japan, some engineers were able to make a visualization system for fencing. So they looked at the Fencing World Championships, and they can put, like, in real time, you can watch the competitors, and the tip of their sword is lit up each with their own color. And so you can see all those motions that they're making that your eye can't track fast enough. So it's really cool, and it totally looks like Harry Potter where they're casting spells and they're waving their arms, but pretty fun to watch. It makes fencing more exciting, and I think also more accessible for people who are training or like just trying to learn the rules of how it works and what it looks like. So that's fun.
Very cool. Well, I just wanted to do a plug for our podcast. You should like and subscribe. Give us 10 stars out of 5 stars. The best of the best. All that.
Overflow of stars.
Overflow. Yeah, buffer overflow of stars. If you can do that, that'd be great. Just don't do like an integer overflow where it goes back to 0. So, it is May 4th, which is Star Wars Day. So I just wanted to do a plug for the best gift I got this year. Star Wars dad joke book. That's how you know your kids love you.
That's so funny. Who are you going to test those out on? Your kids mostly, or everyone you meet?
Yeah, I mostly make them listen to one each night, right? So
cute.
It's very important that they get their dad jokes in. So
that's fun.
They'll be getting some Star Wars dad jokes tonight for sure.
Cool. Love it. Way to lean into the dad jokes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, if you're gonna do something, you might as well do it well, or in the case of dad jokes, poorly, so poorly as well.
There you go.
All right, well, I feel like that's a wrap on today's briefing. I know AI and cybersecurity moves super fast, but as it comes at us, we're here to break it down for you and help you understand more about where we're going in the future. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.